Welcome to Fierce, Fun, Feminine, and Other F Words. I'm Christine Elizabeth, and I help women unstuck themselves. And today's topic is one of my favorites. I titled this podcast Fierce, Fun, Feminine, and Other F Words because I believe every woman has fierce in her, and I don't believe fierce has to be ugly. And I also know some of us forget what our fierce self looks like. So I'm going to unpack this a little bit today and give you a reminder of just how fierce and strong and powerful you are. Are you ready? Do you need a nudge? Let's get started. Where are you stuck right now? What part of your life is just not moving forward? And how much of your fierceness is needed, your bravery is needed to get unstuck? Because we all have a place where we would love to see more progress. And it's really kind of on our own shoulders and our decisions to make that progress, but we don't. Can you relate? I know I have it, and I've worked with women in my entire career. We all have it. It might be in a relationship. Actually, most of us could say that. It might be something inside your marriage. Maybe your marriage is healthy, happy, but there's this one issue, right? You can't bust through. Or maybe it's in a career. Maybe you want to change careers. You want to pivot. You're scared to death. Maybe it's a conversation you need to have with someone who said something that bothered you, or they have a behavior and you just want to put an end to it, but you haven't had that conversation yet. It could be anything under the sun. It's going to require some bravery. It's going to require you to be fierce, and you haven't tapped into it. What does fierce look like? Well, first, let me tell you, when I titled this podcast and I put fierce as the first word, there was a reason for that. I believe you and every other woman you know has the ability to be fierce, and it does not have to be ugly. When I polled people, asking them questions of how they felt about the word fierce when it came to a woman, this is an interesting observation that I came across. Men didn't like it. Across the board, most men were not drawn to a fierce woman. In their mind, that meant ugly, aggressive, mouthy, in a really negative light. When I asked women, the majority of women are like, hell yeah, fierce woman, go for it. They love the idea of a fierce woman. They love the idea of being a fierce woman. Almost all of them didn't associate it with something negative. They associate it with something positive, with the exception of the older generation, like 70 and older. They kind of still had that negative spin to it. And, really back in the day, when they were younger, fierce was a negative word. It's different now. It doesn't have the same connotation. Today, fierce is, when you think of fierce, you can think of a mama lion, protecting her babies. You can think of a mama bear. That's fierce, right? She's going to kill for protecting her young. You can think of it that way. That's the ferocious kind of fierce. Most women in today's culture that love the idea of a fierce woman associate it with heartfelt and powerful intensity. They associate fierce with brave, with tenacity, and with grit. Those are the words that fierce represent to them. How do you feel about the word fierce? Do you want to be thought of as a fierce woman? Are you feeling stuck somewhere where you need to find your fierce? Because that's what today's all about. And I wanted to just go into a couple things that are not fierce, right? So let's just unpack this, because I've been in situations where I thought I'm being strong and I'm being brave, but it's not fierce. And these were not all me. I'm going to just give you some examples. Mean girl behavior is not fierce. That's for the mentally weak. Mean girls are gossips. Mean girls are hateful. They have backstabbing comments. They don't support. They don't lift another woman up. That's mean girl behavior. That is a mentally weak person. If that's you, check yourself. Okay? I'm not gonna sugarcoat this one. That's not cool. A fierce woman is so confident in who she is that she practices kindness and compassion even when she looks at another woman and says, this person doesn't deserve that. I have personally experienced backstabbing betrayal in female relationships, female friendships. And it was really difficult for me, for someone super close to me that I loved, like, a little sister almost, betrayed me, hurt me deeply. I never wished anything bad for her. Never. I actually saw brokenness in her because hurt people, right? I was at my best, fierce self, wishing her well when she kind of tried to really destroy me and my business. That's a tough place to be. Really tough place to be. But you have to get to the point where mean girl behavior isn't for the fierce. It is for the mentally weak. It truly is. Now, that doesn't mean you lay yourself down and make yourself a doormat, let them come back. And, you need to, work through your forgiveness issues or any of that when someone does something to you like betrayal. Being fierce doesn't mean you just welcome behavior back into your life that's not okay. Being fierce is realizing, that was really crummy behavior on their part. They must be going through some stuff. And if they came back to me, I need to have a plan of how I would respond to that, what I would say to that, and set some tough boundaries. Now, in my case, this person has been out of my life for a few years and has never come back. I don't even know if they realize how awful what they did was, but I never stepped into a place of mean girl behavior. Mean girl behavior is not for the fierce woman. So I just wanted to get that aside. How about this one? Let's make this one, I'm going to bring it home even more because we've all been in relationships where we weren't getting what we deserved. Well, I'm not going to say all, that's too inclusive, but most of us have been in a relationship where your partner was just either emotionally absent, neglectful, hurtful. You were constantly trying to explain to them what your needs were and they were not being met. It even could be the point of, I've had several episodes on here about narcissistic relationships. You were being abused emotionally. You didn't know it. I had a friend years ago, this is a different friend, that was a narcissist, and I didn't know what narcissism was. And I was constantly like, you know what? This person's so broken. I'm going to stand until they kind of figure out that they have a real friend in me. I'm going to stay by this person. This person mistreated me over and over and over again. Was I being fierce by standing in this space, holding space, waiting for this person to be good to me? Is that fierce? Nope. So if you find yourself in that situation, that's not being fierce. The ability to withstand something you do not deserve, like waiting for a man to love you, is not being fierce. It's the exact opposite. Your ability to tolerate chronic emotional pain in your relationship has little to do with your love and loyalty and a lot to do with your self-worth. A fierce woman knows who she is. I was not a fierce woman in that friendship when I was waiting for this person to start treating me like a human. It was not a good place to be. I was not operating out of my fierce badassery. I love the word badassery. I don't know what it is, but, I think of different movies that depict strong women, and I'm like, oh, she's got some badassery in her. But badassery is not, what is that woman's name on the Terminator? The one that walks around with the machine gun, right? She was a determined little badassery woman, but that's not what I'm talking about. That fierceness that I'm talking about is a woman who knows who she is. She knows what she stands for. She sets boundaries around things to protect her from things that she will not tolerate in her life. And she is open and willing to enforce those boundaries. Nobody breaks them. You don't let the fence down. You want to give somebody some space. You already know what you can and cannot handle in your life. And those fences and those boundaries are there because you know yourself. You're also operating out of a place of such a high level that you don't go to mean girl behavior. You go to kindness and compassion. Your vibration, if you want to put it that way, is so high that you don't let the broken people hurt you. Does that mean you'll never hurt? No. What that means is after the sting, you'll be able to look at the situation and say, this was my role in the situation. This is what I did that maybe contributed, but they are super broken. Like you can go through and you can even apologize and say, hey, I want you to know how this felt. This is what it felt for me. Not finger pointing. You have healed through all your wounds and you can go, I own my part in this. This is what I felt when I experienced you. My experience of you felt crunchy. It didn't feel good. And then after you share it, or you don't share it, you just hold it, you walk away. You don't carry a grudge. So yes, a fierce woman can be hurt. She can feel emotional pain, but she knows how to handle it and she moves forward. That's fierce. Okay, so how do you tap into it to unstuck yourself wherever you're stuck? This is what I want you to do. I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper. Yes, old school, not a device. There's a reason for that. When you use your body to physically write, you will remember it more. There's some kinesthetic learning here that I'm trying to instill in you. I want you to sit down sometime in a quiet spot, maybe the right now after you finish this podcast, or maybe it's in your quiet time in the morning, whatever it is. I want you to start making a list, and I want you to title at the top, write my badassery or I am fierce. Give it a title. You're going to make a badass list. That's what you're going to do. Oh, but Christine, I've never been a badass. Yes, you have. You forgot. You have done something that required bravery. So what I want you to do is sit down with this piece of paper, give it a title, and then you're going to write down every single brave thing you've ever done starting in childhood. Did you stand up to a bully? Write it down. Did you walk away from a pack of friends that were not good for you? Write it down. Were you in a home with domestic violence and you had to take care of yourself because you weren't being taken care of by the adults that were supposed to? Write that down. You had badassery in you as a child, if that's you. Did you change careers? Did it require a lot of bravery for you to do that? Did you break up with someone in a relationship who you loved, but they just hurt you over and over again? And you couldn't take it anymore? Write that down. I want you to write down every single thing you've ever done that was badass. Did you take on a spam call and do something like ask them for their home number, or something like, snarky like that? Did you get so sick of being spammed with these phone calls that you decided, I'm going to flip the story and I'm going to get back on this person just because it's fun and it was a little snarky, but you weren't hurting anyone? Write it down. Take some time and write down every single thing you've ever done that was badass. And it can be small, it can be big. If someone, I don't know, maybe cut you off on the road, you're driving, and instead of hitting the gas, riding their bumper, getting into, some anger, and I don't know how many of you have road rage, but some women do. Instead of that, you were able to pull yourself back out of that situation and go, wow, that person needs some good juju. I'm going to send them good thoughts because they're having a bad day. That's badass. It really is. Kindness is so gangster. That is a woman who is fierce. That is a woman who can look at others and go, okay, they're having a bad day. I'm not going to get sucked into that bad day. I'm going to keep vibrating at my higher level and wish them well. Here's the cool thing about making a fierce list. You can do it with your kids if you're a mom. If they're in 5th grade or higher, I don't know if they can really grasp it. Maybe if they're younger than 5th grade, they can. But it is a really cool exercise to sit down with your children and go, hey, are you feeling brave around your friends? Or maybe they're not feeling brave and they're already saying something. Or maybe you don't even make it a topic, but you say, we're going to sit down as a family and we're going to write down everything brave we've ever done in our life. And we're going to share it. Mom, dad, kids, or maybe it's just you and kids, whoever. Make it kind of a fun family night. Make it fun. Make it like a game and say who can come up with the 5 top things they've ever done that were brave first, wins a whatever, a cookie, I don't know. Make it a game so that they want to play. give them some type of a reward, open the conversation. Because if children can learn that they are brave and fierce, especially little girls can learn that, they can learn that fierce doesn't mean you have a chip on your shoulder. Fierce doesn't mean that you're going to cuss out a girl in your high school hallway. That's not fierce. That's undirected emotion, right? It's okay to be mad and feel like you need to express yourself, but a fierce woman has more control. And as children age, they can learn that control, but the more important thing is that they learn their confidence. And this badass list for you is truly to build your confidence, to help remind you that you are a fierce woman. You can do hard things. And if you're a mom, so can your kids. And I don't think kids hear it enough. I think they get praised for all of their great things they do, but they're really not tapping into their soul of who they are. We're not really sitting down and going, you're a brave person. And that could be some of the most important words you ever share with your children, because someday they might have to practice bravery when you're not there. And if you have any words of encouragement or positivity into their bravery and their fierceness, they're going to remember that. It's going to play on repeat. Don't you want your kids to grow up with that, especially if you didn't? How cool of a gift to give your children if you're a mom. Okay, so this is what you're doing. You're going to stop this podcast. You're going to get a piece of paper and a pen. You're physically going to write it down because you're going to remember it. This is a practice and kinesthetic learning. Some people learn by listening. That's why you're a podcaster, I'll bet. You remember. Some people learn by using their body. Some people learn by using their eyes. Well, we're taking it all in at once, and you can hit play again because this is a very short episode. You can listen to what I'm saying to let it spark some thoughts. You're going to include your auditory learning. You're going to use your hands and write this down. That's your physical learning. You're going to feel. That's your physical learning. You're going to see because you're going to see the words you write. That's your visual learning. You're going to tap into all of that when you write this badass list. That is going to help you step into reminding yourself how fierce you are. And then you're going to write down where you need to practice this bravery and this fierceness. Where are you stuck? Where? And you're going to write down a little goal. Doesn't have to be huge. You could do a huge goal. Maybe you want to move across the country and you have no idea how you want to do it. Or maybe you want to live somewhere in another continent. Who knows? I don't know what it is. It might be huge like that, or it might be something smaller. Whatever it is, write it down, and then kind of write down some steps that you're going to take, baby steps forward, going toward achieving that every day. You're going to tap into your bravery, your fierceness, your badassery every day. Are you ready for this? I can't wait to hear how it goes. Ready? Let's get set. Get your paper, get your pen, get to it. I wish you could see me smiling as I'm sharing all of these things in this podcast because this topic fires me up. I wish so much that I could have you all in a room with me right now because I can look at someone and know that they need to be brave in a certain area, or I can look at someone and kind of know she is brave. She knows who she is. And it's just so fun to be able to inspire that in someone. So I hope that this podcast, this specific episode, has been a nudge for you. I hope you'll do the exercise. And here's the other thing. I would love to hear from you. And soon I'm going to have a website where you can tap into all of these in transcript mode and read all of these episodes, and you'll be able to reach me. But did you know that you can reach me through email? You can find me at fiercefunfeminine@yahoo.com. fiercefunfeminine@yahoo.com. Tell me how you did with this badass list. I want to know about it. I want to know what you're stepping into, what you need to do to unstuck yourself. I'll help you stay accountable. Send me a message. If you liked this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you get notified when new ones are released, and share it with a friend. You can't go wrong sharing something like this. Every single woman you know can benefit. Thanks for being here. Until next time, have a fierce, fun, feminine, and fabulous day.